Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
It's not just a loss for us personally.
Loved ones mourn a well-known businessman shot and killed outside his Abbotsford home. Police hope someone can help find the suspect and the vehicle. Plus, the owner of a fire-ravaged property in Vancouver is accused of using fake court cases to try to lower his assessment. And
the tide started coming in, and it's coming strong.
as a massive hurricane tears across Jamaica, loved ones in Canada wait and hope.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. A prominent businessman in Abbotsford is being mourned by family and friends after he was shot and killed on his own street Monday morning. As the CBC's Benit Brach explains, new video shows the moments leading up to his death.
We're all devastated. We're all devastated. It's not just a loss for us personally.
Darshan Singh Sasi's family are trying to make sense of his killing right outside their family home on Monday morning.
We see the impact that he made and the people that this has hurt. It's not measurable.
CBC News has verified a video of Sasi's shooting. We're not showing the moment he is shot and killed. You can see Sasi get into a truck near the corner of Ridgeview and Summit Drives just before 9:30 a.m. on Monday. A person wearing a dark hoodie gets out of the car parked across the road, approaches the truck, and opens fire. They jump back into the sedan, reverse it, and drive away. Police are hoping someone recognizes the suspect and the car, a silver Toyota Corolla.
At this time, it is believed that it is a lone male who was occupying the vehicle, and we're looking to locate the vehicle as well as the suspect.
Police say Sasi's killing appears targeted, but the motive is unclear.
There are no indications that this is extortion related.
Sasi's two sons say their father was a pillar in the community.
Fighting for people's rights, fighting for what's right.
His sons say their father was born in India's Punjab state, started farming as a teenager, then worked on a cruise ship before making his way to Canada. He went on to open several different businesses internationally and became president of Can-Am International, a clothing recycling company. Deepak Sharma has known Sasi since college.
From our area in Punjab, if anyone came to Canada and said they needed help, he supported everyone, Sharma says.
He says Sasi was keen on supporting youth education, helping new families settle in Canada, and giving back to those in need.
He put in so much effort into everything. He earned his money, made a name for himself, and then this happens, Sharma says.
Sasi's sons say they will continue their father's legacy of service, but are left devastated.
It's senseless, and he really didn't deserve it. You know, it's not making any sense to us.
Benit Brach, CBC News, Abbotsford.
A provincial bill that could have led to a referendum on the future of Vancouver's park board has hit a significant snag. BC's Municipal Affairs Minister says the city has to do more work before discussing whether the park board can be dissolved. We spoke with our Municipal Affairs reporter, Justin McElroy, earlier.
And Dan, people might remember that it was just a month ago that the province said that they could get rid of the park board if there was a referendum where voters said yes. But then there became a dispute over the province and the Mayor Ken Sim over a clause in the proposed legislation that would allow for no referendum if parkland in the future, if the city got rid of the park board, involved a land transfer involving the First Nations in the city, Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh. Sim said that he didn't want that referendum provision in place, or rather that it could only go forward if there was a referendum option in place. The province originally said they would be happy to make that request. Then they heard from First Nations saying that they wanted more time to consider what that would mean in the future. And now, once again, it's on hold.
So that is work for the city to do and to talk about with Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, and then they are welcome to come back to us when they have some clarity and a formal ask about the direction they'd like to go.
And how is the mayor's office responding? And Justin, why are we still talking about this 2 years later?
Yeah, well, this is a complicated thing involving many different levels of government. We asked the minister about this today. She said that, over the last 2 years, they've been dealing with an election. They've been dealing with a busy spring session. They've been dealing with Donald Trump and tariffs. So this hasn't been the highest thing on the agenda. But it's a lot of finger pointing between the province and city over who is to blame over this process being so drawn out. A month ago, we thought that there would be a definitive referendum to end this and decide the fate of the park board one way or the other. Today, it seems once again as clear as mud.
Justin McElroy, much appreciated. Thank you. The owner of a fire-ravaged property in East Vancouver has been accused of using fake case law to try to lower the assessed value of his property. This was after that same owner was accused of neglecting the building after 2 fires that ultimately led to it being torn down. The so-called hallucinations are alleged to have been created by an AI chatbot like ChatGPT. Reporter Jason Proctor spoke with our Leanne Young earlier.
This goes back a couple of years almost with this property that's been in the news. It's in East Vancouver, a low-rise apartment building that was basically destroyed over the course of a couple of years by fires, ordered demolished. Its last property assessment was set at $19 million. The owner, Fu Diren, decided to challenge that at the Property Assessment Appeal Board by putting together his submissions arguing that, his destroyed building was being compared to a income-generating apartment building, and that he should, the costs he'd had to pay for demolition should be taken off of the assessment. In order to make that argument, he used submissions that included these cases that he said were precedent backing him up. Unfortunately, the precedent, the BC Assessment Authority says, after researching it, it doesn't exist. These are fictitious cases. And so basically, the decision maker looked at this, said, well, this is possibly AI hallucinations, or you knowingly put forward fictitious cases, which would be even worse. And so he's asked now for submissions with regards to costs, because he's obviously allegedly wasted the time of the BC Assessment Authority and of the appeal.
And so what are the possible costs here?
Well, it can be in the hundreds of dollars, because this is a growing problem that we've seen, in other cases where people have been ordered to cover the costs that their opponents have had to pay researching these hallucinations, which are sort of these fictitious cases that chatbots like ChatGPT, AI chatbots put forward sometimes as part of this. And so there's been hundreds of dollars, there's been reprimands, lawyers have been warned about it, but of course with a lot of people self-representing, for monetary reasons, there's a growing spate of this problem that we've found in BC's courts, and I'm talking tribunals from the lowest tribunal to the top court in BC, where these have been found, and judges, decision makers have been warning about it.
Very interesting. A warning not just for those in the court system, but anybody using any of these AI chatbots, to make sure to understand how sourcing works.
If you're going to get ChatGPT or any AI chatbot to do your work, you're responsible for what it puts forward, so you've got to research to make sure that the cases it's putting forward actually exist.
Yeah.
Jason Proctor reporting. Collecting cans or bottles to return for a deposit is a way to cut down on garbage, but also a way for many people to make some money. Waste pickers or binners say the important work ought to be given a bigger role. As Chad Pawson reports, they want deposits assigned to other kinds of waste.
Coffee cups, a ubiquitous single waste item in places like Vancouver, being collected, counted, and exchanged at a one-day event where they're worth 10 cents each.
Well, all of these cups for the cup roundup.
I know it's not my first time. I missed last year, so I wanted to make sure I got here this year.
I've seen a few groups of people make thousands.
Vancouver's yearly coffee cup revolution is run by a collective of waste pickers with government grants and private sponsors. This year, more than $21,000 was handed out for more than 200,000 cups.
It's an example of how when waste has value, there's an incentive to collect it and for it to be recycled if possible, meaning it doesn't end up in a landfill or the ocean.
So like if you didn't have waste pickers, we'd be swimming in plastic. The most important impact that we have is environmentally.
Much of what waste pickers currently collect are beverage containers worth 10 cents each, but they want a bigger role in what they amass, with advocates saying more items could have a similar deposit added, such as gas canisters, spray paint cans, or even vapes or cigarette butts. And of course, anything plastic, considering much of that still ends up in landfills despite BC's leading recycling system.
If those products can be recycled, will reduce a lot of the products that are going to the waste.
The province is looking at ways to reduce garbage this way. 3 years ago, it added milk containers to the current deposit system, estimating it would result in 20 to 40 million more milk containers being recycled annually. It's currently trying to figure out how to prevent waste from batteries, mattresses and foundations, camping fuel canisters, fire extinguishers, medical sharps, and electronics. Binners here want to be part of a solution for those items and say their skills would make it a win-win. Chad Pawson, CBC News, Vancouver.
An outbreak of measles in northeastern BC is expected to continue for the foreseeable future. There have been 232 cases in the region since the outbreak began in May, mostly around Fort St. John. That triggered a surge in summer vaccinations, with rates doubling, even tripling in June and July. Despite that rise, health officials say the city could still see 5 or more new cases a day as the virus spreads within families. One official tells CBC News it is moving from pockets of unvaccinated people to another. Vaccination rates sit between 60% and 70% in many northeastern communities, well below the 95% needed for herd immunity. The City of Richmond organized a meeting to discuss concerns about land ownership following a recent court decision. People turned out in the rain to hear from city officials and ask questions. In August, a judge granted the Cowichan First Nation fishing rights on the Fraser River and title to a parcel of land in the city. Earlier this month, Mayor Malcolm Brody sent a letter to landowners in the area suggesting their land titles could be affected by the court decision. The Cowichan says that ruling does not challenge the validity of any title held by individual landowners. Darius Madavi is here with our look at the weather as more rain rolls in.
That's right, rain and snow, Dan. We have a deep low pressure system sitting off the coast, spreading strong winds up and down from Haida Gwaii all the way down to the South Island. And as that system rolls in, we see lots of precipitation moving in as well. And if we zoom in, we can look at the radar imagery and see lots of snow heading across the central interior. Temperatures only a couple degrees cooler than we expected today in that area, but it's enough that it fell as snow and not rain in places like Williams Lake, Quesnel, even up lightly around Prince George. And that rain coming to the coast, also falling as snow for a lot of the mountain ranges. Freezing levels have been low enough that we've actually gotten some decent accumulations of snow on the local mountains and up around Whistler, 45 centimeters there in the last week. We have a snow warning for Pine Pass, Highway 97 to Pine Pass there, blowing snow advisory for the Okanagan Connector, and wind warnings blanketing the coast. We'll talk more about all those things later in the show.
Sounds good. Thanks, Darius.
Thank you.
It's a buyer's market in much of Metro Vancouver real estate. Coming up, we're going to talk with an expert on how that's changing people's behaviors. Stick around. The Bank of Canada will announce its next interest rate decision on Wednesday morning. People in the real estate market will be watching closely, among others. Many analysts are expecting another rate cut. That could ultimately mean lower mortgage rates for people looking to get into the market and a potential boost for sellers in what is currently a buyer's market. Glenn Hopkins is a realtor and YouTuber with McDonald Realty in Surrey and joins us now for a look at the market. Glenn, thanks for being here. We're in a buyer's market in many parts of Greater Vancouver, the first long stretch in a number of years. What are you telling buyers and sellers right now?
Yeah, it is definitely a buyer's market. It's different on both sides of the coin. For sellers, I'm talking to sellers, I'm asking them to be realistic and try and make data-driven decisions. You know, so many sellers are stuck in the prices that we saw back in the COVID highs, and they're anchored in those prices. And that can become very challenging. I know it's an emotional thing, but really it's important to look at the data and price your home accordingly. Otherwise, it's simply not going to sell. Right now, there's approximately only 10% of the homes selling in any given month. So it's very key that you look at the data.
Only 10%? How does that compare to other years?
Well, I mean, every month fluctuates slightly, but we're definitely in a strong buyer's market. For the last 7 months straight, we've seen the prices be declining. Inventory is at a 10-year high. So, you know, great opportunity for some buyers, not all buyers. And this is part of the challenge that we're seeing is a standoff between a lot of buyers and sellers. Sellers, again, they've got those their eyes set on what their neighbors might have sold for, you know, 1-2 years ago, and they're thinking they can sell for the same price. And sadly, that's just not the case for them. Buyers on the flip side, they're very savvy today. They understand that they have a lot to choose from, and they're just going to bypass those homes that are overpriced.
When you say being realistic for the sellers, can you put a dollar figure on it? Like if an average home, let's round it up to $1 million, because heaven knows that is the case for a lot of homes in Metro Vancouver. And if they want to, you know, what's their range there?
Yeah, a range, it's interesting, and it's different for every unique property type and every individual home, frankly. But one thing that I try and advise clients is to be careful not to chase the market down. And that's a phrase that you commonly hear real estate agents use. And essentially, for an example purpose, let's just say a seller feels that their home is worth $1 million in today's market. And they're basing that on yesterday's price, when in reality, the data is telling us it's worth closer to $900,000. But they want to list it and just try, right? Well, we all know it's just going to sit there and collect dust. It's basically going to lose any momentum. Buyers are not interested. They're not even going to go look at it, right? And so what'll happen, it'll sit there for a month or two, and then eventually the seller's going to say, okay, I'm willing to lower my price to that $900,000 based on what the comp said when we originally listed my home. The challenge, however, is that at this point, 2 to 3 months later, the market very well may have dipped even further. And again, it's been declining for 7 months straight. So when they're ready to finally list it at $900,000, say in this example, it may only be worth $850,000. And so they've already lost $50,000 right out of the gate.
I'm sure a lot of buyers and sellers and yourself, among other real estate experts, will be watching the Bank of Canada announcement on Wednesday. Glenn Hopkins, realtor and YouTuber with McDonald Realty, we really appreciate your time and insight. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
A look at the day that was in downtown Vancouver. A classic South Coast cloudy and rainy October day. Darius will have your BC-wide weather forecast. And yes, more on that snow that's falling in parts of our province coming up next.
I'm Stephen Quinn, and I love living here in Vancouver, BC. It's a city with world-renowned beauty, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. In our new daily podcast, This is Vancouver, we're exploring the diverse range of issues and stories in the city, the good, the bad, and everything in between, as told by the people who live it every day. Don't miss This is Vancouver, available wherever you get your podcasts, and I'll talk to you soon.
The leaves are not the only things turning red this season. BC's cranberry harvest is in full swing. After several years with lower yields, farmers are now seeing a bountiful crop. The CBC's Jessica Chung checked out things at Pitt Meadows Hopcott Farms.
Walking around here, this is the first time I actually have ever been in a bog. It's squishy, but not slimy, so you can definitely walk around safely. It's super fun, but also it's really the cranberries that are the main focus here. With me is Travis Hopcott, which is one of the co-owners of the farm, a cranberry farmer himself. He's going to talk us through a little bit about how these cranberries are harvested. This is kind of the tail end of the harvest. So then how does it all kind of get here, Travis?
Yeah, there's a lot of steps involved. Just naming a couple, winter protection, that's something we have to keep in mind since maybe 4 or 5 years ago. That's one. And springtime, you got those really warm days and cold nights, the bud starts opening up, becoming a bit more fragile. So that's frost protection period. We look at that and many other steps to get to this point.
What is this process here in the bog?
So when we have enough color, we'll actually flood these bogs with water where 50% of the canopy is covered. Then we'll go in there with machines, loosen them up, flood more water so the fruit can flow freely, just as you see here.
Wow, okay, and then you can just eat them right off of here. This is how you harvest them.
Yeah, so they'll be pumped and loaded into a truck and taken to either Richmond or Aldergrove to be graded and cleaned. And yeah, you can eat them raw too if you want.
Totally. Okay, so then quickly, people come here to visit these bogs. What's that experience been like, if you could tell us and say?
Sincerely, it's been very joyful, yeah. It fills us with pride. It's amazing how many people have visiting a cranberry operation on their bucket list. So we're very happy to share this experience with them so that they can learn, not just get that photo up with their family that will last for decades, but also to learn what goes into producing this beautiful red gem.
Yeah, and how has the season been this season, if you can sum it up quickly? Yeah.
So our season's been close to ideal. So we look at bloom period or blossom or flower period. The weather was great for the bees to do their thing. We really counted on them. And it was just consistent throughout the year. No extremes. And so yeah, we're expecting a pretty good crop, not just for us but for the province.
The Toronto Blue Jays are trying to turn the page and tie up the World Series against the Dodgers in LA. Spoiler alert, right now, the Jays lead 2-1 in the top of the 5th inning. As Jamie Strachan explains, Toronto is trying to level this fight after last night's heartbreaking loss in a marathon 18-inning game.
11:50 in Los Angeles.
As the clock approached midnight, Freddie Freeman did what nobody else was able to do. And a game that will be forever remembered.
Game over.
Every pitch means something in the World Series and in the playoffs. So I think we're all emotionally and mentally drained.
For the Dodgers, pure joy after surviving the 6-hour and 39-minute marathon, the second longest game in World Series history. For the Jays, a feeling of what might have been.
This one will sting tonight, don't get me wrong. You wouldn't be human if it didn't.
But no sense that Game 3 will define this series.
The Dodgers didn't win the World Series today. They won a game. You know what I mean? And these guys are going to be ready to go tomorrow.
Nothing like a 14th inning stretch. And that's
this wild game that saw 19 pitchers take the mound and 130 at-bats went on and on and on.
Or how about when he wakes up? Yeah, I'm going to sleep for 9 innings.
And had a little bit of everything. Sparkling defense.
Barger's throw to the plate. Got it! Hit down the line, a fair ball.
Dramatic plays at the plate.
The throw is offline, and he is safe.
And yet another jaw-dropping performance by Japanese legend Shohei Ohtani, who hit a dramatic game-tying home run and reached base 9, that's right, 9 times, a World Series record. Oh, and by the way, he's the Dodgers' starting pitcher in Game 4.
That game set to be played here at Dodger Stadium, where temperatures are set to soar over 30 degrees. You would think both teams are exhausted. Not likely, this expert says.
I'd be surprised if the athletes weren't more energized by having gone through this. This is a career-defining game that they experienced last night.
The good news for Jays fans nursing a baseball hangover from last night, a win today evens up the series. Hopefully, it won't take as long. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Los Angeles.
Retail giant Amazon is cutting thousands of corporate jobs, the latest company to shed positions while investing big in AI. Anise Dori explains why that trend is likely to continue and which jobs are most at risk.
Amazon cutting 14,000 jobs from its corporate ranks. It's a lower number than initially reported. The company didn't say how many Canadians face cuts, but Amazon has said it's looking at artificial intelligence. In an online letter about these layoffs, an Amazon executive called AI transformative, writing, "It's enabling companies to innovate much faster than ever before. We're convinced that we need to be organized more leanly." Amazon has already announced it's investing billions of dollars in AI.
Big tech is creating headcount for horsepower, being able to leverage AI into our day-to-day jobs, whether it's HR or legal or engineering, has really upgraded efficiency.
Though it's not just big tech cutting jobs while expanding AI. 450 office jobs gone at food delivery company Just Eat. 1,300 people looking for work after losing jobs at Indeed and Glassdoor. And consulting firm Accenture cut more than 11,000 positions.
Those jobs will be those where they're just...
This business professor says really AI is changing things.
So we're really talking about the services sector, those people that work in front of a computer all day long, like you or me, in a tall building or a reasonably tall building. We're in the services sector. That's banking, that's pensions, that's government, that's broadcasting, that's academic.
Though this type of job cut may not hit every type of worker.
And so AI is going to be very disruptive, but it's just not going to be uniform across the board and affect everybody equally.
Amazon has more than 1.5 million people working for it, so axing 14,000 jobs might seem like a drop in the bucket. But as more employers switch out human intelligence for artificial, these cuts may not be the last. Anise Dori, CBC News, Calgary.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is traveling across Asia this week, where he's trying to diversify Canada's trading partners. But it's Ottawa's strained relationship with our oldest and closest economic ally that's overshadowing talks there and dominating concern at home. Rafi Boudjikanian has more.
While Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Singapore trying to sell Canada as an ideal trading partner for Southeast Asia, Canada's actual biggest trading partner continues to ignore him. The White House stopped trade talks with Ottawa last week. U.S. President Donald Trump upset over that Ontario TV ad, which shows part of a speech by former President Ronald Reagan criticizing the idea of tariffs. Ontario has since pulled the ad, but Premier Doug Ford has defended it and said Carney should hardly have been surprised by its use.
He saw the ad before I put it out, so did his chief of staff. They both saw it, and we moved forward on it.
Carney and Trump are on parallel pit stops between two major summits in Asia, while Carney is here trying to meet with officials of a private equity firm as well as Singapore's massive port authority to get them to invest more into Canada. Trump is in Japan, where he met the country's new prime minister and signed a framework agreement on rare earths and critical minerals. Canada also had its eye on Tokyo during this trip, but Japan said it could not fit in two state visits right after an election, according to Canadian government officials. However, Canada's ambassador to Japan says that should hardly be interpreted as a snub.
We were at ASEAN for the full 2 days. We're here in Singapore. We're going to APEC. And, we'll have lots of opportunities to do a full, comprehensive bilateral visit to Japan.
Carney heads to South Korea on Wednesday ahead of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, where Trump is also expected to be in attendance. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Singapore.
As we told you earlier, Canada's Jamaican community is coming together, ready to help loved ones on the island and each other as Hurricane Melissa smashes through. She in Desjardins now with the worry as many wait for news.
Everyone needs to be safe.
Between clients at his Toronto hair salon, Jason McDonald can't stop thinking about his friends and family in Hurricane Melissa's path, hoping everyone makes it through.
In Canada, we have to prepare for winter. In Jamaica, this is a part of what we have to prepare for, tropical storms.
This one, though, is much different. One of the strongest to hit Jamaica in generations. And for people here in Canada, the mere thought is terrifying.
And right now, I'm in contact with my aunt. It's fine, but there's always that fear that one time we call her and we don't get her, and then what happens from there, you know?
I don't know what's going on. I try to reach them, and I can't reach nobody.
From coast to coast, people are watching the havoc unfold. In Newfoundland and Labrador, the Jamaican-Canadian Association is trying to provide mental health support.
I had one family member who said that it's unlike anything he's experienced before.
And in BC, it's organizing aid for the aftermath.
This is a small island and all the help is going to be needed for recovery.
For now, though, all people can do is wait. The owners of this Prince Edward Island restaurant keep calling home, praying like so many others, family picks up.
If we lose power and lose everything else, and that's going to be another worry, headache, because you don't know what's going on.
Business owners and residents in the Jamaican community here are holding an emergency meeting to discuss sending support, and the federal government says it's ready to provide disaster assistance. Chien Desjardins, CBC News, Toronto.
Donald Trump is set to meet with Chinese leader Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the APEC summit on Thursday. Many analysts believe the trade and tech war unfolding between the U.S. and China is really about who will control the development of artificial intelligence. As Chris Brown reports, Taiwan makes the bulk of advanced chips for AI databases, and for the island nation, the stakes could not be higher.
This science park south of Taipei is devoted to making some of the most delicate and expensive technology on the planet. The microchips that facilitate artificial intelligence, phones, and almost everything else we use.
Taiwan is the leader of the world's semiconductor industry, and it especially dominates in the manufacture of high-end chips, with one company, TSMC, holding 90% of the global market.
It's an astonishing accomplishment for a small island that most of the world doesn't even recognize as a country. And people here are proud of that success. We don't have to worry too much now that people don't care about us, said 21-year-old college student Amy Lynn. We have wafers, microchips, so we have something to negotiate with others. And Taiwan is flexing its new economic muscles, threatening South Africa with export controls over a diplomatic dispute, and standing up to U.S. demands to move half of its chip-making business there.
You cannot ignore Taiwan anymore.
Analyst Jeremy Chan says advanced chip technology, especially for AI, is very expensive and has taken years for Taiwan's engineers to refine.
So it becomes very, very efficient. I think only Taiwan can achieve this kind of standard of efficiency.
But China is trying. Min Wu of Macronix, a pioneer of chip production in Taiwan, says he believes with its huge resources, China's industry is catching up.
My guess, they are very close now. They are very close.
Taiwan faces an existential threat, though, from China, which has vowed to reclaim the island by force if necessary. So analysts say for Taiwan's government, the challenge is in deciding how to turn its success with chips into political leverage. Chris Brown, CBC News, Hsinchu, Taiwan.
A discovery 23 million years in the making. Researchers say they have found rhino fossils in the far north. More on their discovery after this. An incredible fossil find to tell you about. The skeleton of an ancient species of rhinoceros has been discovered in the most unexpected place, Canada's far north. Anand Ram has details about our country's polar rhino.
A pony in the winter was specifically the wording that I used.
But it's actually a rhino. Yes, an ancient 23 million year old distant relative of these animals. Same size as an Indian rhino, but likely furry and with one pointy feature missing.
Modern rhinos have horns, but actually a lot of rhinos in the past did not have horns. In fact, it was closely related to species that lived in Europe.
But how did this newly named species, Epiatheracerium itgiluk, get from Europe to what's now Devon Island in Nunavut?
There was a land bridge connecting basically over from Northern Europe up over to Greenland and into the Arctic islands of Canada. We hypothesized that this animal was either crossing on land or what little water did exist between those islands.
Okay, so here we have a fragment and it's a piece of rib.
The fossils were discovered decades ago and were carefully studied at the Canadian Museum of Nature.
Probably the back of that skull.
The patience of paleontologists, like doing a jigsaw puzzle without the back of the box.
You're looking at other descriptions of skeletons and using that as your guide to figure out where the pieces might go. But on the side, we have a table of scraps that we couldn't figure out where they fit.
But even with 75% of the complete skeleton, these fossils are changing the view on how these animals moved around our planet millions of years ago.
The bridge across the North Atlantic was probably active for upwards of 20 million years longer than what we initially thought it was. And to me, that's pretty interesting and pretty exciting.
Suggesting these polar rhinos followed their hornless noses across continents for the best food. Anand Ram, CBC News, Toronto.
The weather update is brought to you by BC Cancer Foundation. Give today to bring more progress and possibilities to patients and their families. Your donation changes everything.
Science and climate specialist Darius Madavi here with the BC-wide weather forecast. Before we get to that, you've got the latest on what's happening with Jamaica and Hurricane Melissa.
That's right. Hurricane Melissa now a Category 3, so still a major hurricane. It was a Category 4 earlier, but we got some new data in from the hurricane hunters and from satellites that have allowed meteorologists at the National Hurricane Center to downgrade it to a Category 3, although it is expected to strengthen again as it heads up towards Cuba. So still hurricane warnings in place, blanketing those areas. Hurricane force winds are now confined to the ocean areas, but we still have 50-knot winds, so very strong, up around 100 kilometers per hour. Sorry, over there. And then very large area experiencing tropical storm force winds. Now, this is imagery from Cuba just in the last couple hours. Very strong winds blowing through those areas. As that storm continues to move up, we'll see even stronger winds reach those places. Heavy rainfall also expected in these areas. Preparations officials are saying should have already been made at this point. They're saying hunker down, protect your life, your property, do whatever you can because we don't have much time left. That storm, again, expected to re-strengthen back to a Category 4 as it sits over those warm ocean waters moving up towards Cuba. A large area experiencing hurricane force winds, a huge area experiencing tropical storm force winds. Those are winds that would be strong enough to certainly merit a wind warning here in Canada. And again, warm ocean waters soaking up that energy. This is imagery from Montego Bay, Jamaica. Also in the last few hours, very heavy precipitation there. In fact, we can take a look at the precipitation totals that are expected in these areas and well over 500 millimeters of rain across a wide area of both Jamaica and Cuba. And the last thing I wanted to mention is how exactly we get this data. This is imagery from one of the hurricane hunters' aircrafts from the Air Force that fly through the eye wall of the hurricane. And this is what's called the stadium effect. It's just towering clouds all around in that relative calm of the eye of the hurricane as just disaster is happening all around. It's very dramatic visuals. This is from yesterday when the hurricane eye was still organized. It has since become disorganized as it moves over land, the mountainous areas in western Jamaica. Now, let's talk about our weather here in BC. Heavy precipitation coming to some areas, including here in Vancouver. In fact, we have heavy rain happening right now across large parts of Metro Vancouver, stretching down into Victoria. That should last for the next hour or two. But here in Vancouver, again, the next hour or so, Probably not the best time to be outside. Let's zoom out now. We looked at this earlier. A strong low pressure system off the coast pushing a lot of moisture in. That's why we got so much snow in places. Going to continue. We have a snowfall warning for a small area in Pine Pass, which we can see here. That precipitation rolling in. Pine Pass, Highway 97 to Pine Pass up in the far north. And then also a blowing snow advisory down in southern BC. Overnight tonight for the Okanagan Connector, Merritt to Kelowna, because of some strong winds and snowfall that's going to be happening. Just some light flurries, but visibility is expected to be a problem. And then as we get into Friday, larger system rolls in. Very wet weekend for the coast, especially Friday, Saturday, unfortunately for trick-or-treaters. But for the next couple days, things aren't looking too bad. The rainfall totals for today into tomorrow and Thursday, not too high. Temperatures are going to be coming up over the next couple of days as well, Dan. Of course, we have those wind warnings in place for the coast, gusting up to 100 kilometers per hour. Those should be coming down the next few hours into the overnight hours. And in terms of the 5-day forecast, here we go. A little bit more rain, a little bit more showers tomorrow, mainly sunny day Thursday, and then heavier rain arrives on Friday.
Very good. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Want to impress your friends while watching the Jays, especially during Mug Up? We'll speak with a champion bartender from BC after this.
I think it's important to give a human face to the stories that we hear every day, the people that they affect. And I think talking to those people is what really gives us the true sense of the impact of the stories that we're hearing.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and this is your CBC Inbox.
Celebrate Chinese language, identity, and creativity at the Jade Music Festival from November 5th to 8th. Join CBC's Margaret Gallagher for an international collaboration of inspiring sounds and stories. And join CBC's Dan Burritt on November 6th to celebrate the best and brightest at the Surrey and White Rock Business Excellence Awards. For tickets, visit swrbot.com.
The Toronto Blue Jays' first World Series run since 1993 is lending fresh sizzle to an iconic 40-year-old song.
Magda Gabra-Salasa brings us the colorful history of OK Blue Jays and gives us a taste of the new renditions.
It's that catchy baseball tune that revs up fans in bars,
Okay! Okay! Blue Jays!
in schools,
Let's play ball!
and in the seats at Blue Jays games during the 7th inning stretch. You may know the words, but did you know the tune got its start in 1982?
You got a hat?
Jack Lenz and business partner Tony Kozanek co-wrote commercials, but then they got called up to take a swing at a theme song for the Blue Jays. Thing is,
Neither Tony nor I had ever been to a baseball game. Sports was not our thing. So we were definitely music nerds.
but they were up for the challenge. Before coming up with a game plan, then Blue Jays executive Paul Beeston gave them a tip.
I remember so clearly him saying, you know, we're only 5 years old. We can't promise too much, so just say they're okay.
The pair tapped into the sights and sounds of baseball.
You got a diamond, you got 9 men.
And within one afternoon, they had their tune. Called to bat as lead singer was Keith Hampshire.
Yeah, it's very catchy, very clever, very clever. Well, when I first heard the track, I thought, this sort of sounds like a Randy Newman song, and I love Randy Newman.
Sold as a record, in 1985, the track went gold, reaching 50,000 sold. The shorter version, chanted at games, continues to delight. It's even getting updates from fans like the Arkells' Max Kermit.
We call him Vladdy. Yes, he's a baddie.
He's not the only one giving the song a new twist.
We'll beat the Dodgers so bad it'll make LA blue.
No doubt Jays fans are hoping that comes true. Magda Gabra-Salasa, CBC News, Toronto.
It's catchy. The Jays run has also meant some big business for local bars and restaurants.
But for those looking to watch and drink at home, CBC caught up with Caitlin Stewart, world champion bartender in New Westminster, to learn what it takes to master mixed drinks.
I'm Caitlin Stewart, also known as Likeable Cocktails, and welcome to my home bar. The idea behind having the home bar was to have a little piece of, you know, what I absolutely love. And I love cocktails, I love bartending. Bartending has been a part of my life for 20 years, and it's kind of taken an interesting turn, having the space to be able to create my own home bar at home is something that now I like to share with people through social media, through online virtual classes. The fact that there's so many people that want to learn about cocktails and want to learn about just different techniques and ways to make drinks, it's been really cool to kind of build this community and feel like this sense of camaraderie with a bunch of people from around the world. Being a great bartender takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of, being resilient and kind of being able to switch on a dime because you never know what's going to happen, but also just being a welcoming host. You know, obviously making a good drink is important, but it's the thought and time and effort that goes into making that good drink. It makes the whole experience that much better as a bartender. And in 2017, I won the prestigious title of World Class Bartender of the Year. I was the first Canadian to do it, the second female to do it. I couldn't be more proud to, represent Canada on the global stage and take that title home and wear it with pride.
I'll have 1 to 3 of those, please. They look good.
I'll take any of them. Thanks for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News at 6. You can watch this newscast on CBC Gem, YouTube, and our website, cbc.ca/BC.
And we'll have your next local news at 11 o'clock, right after the National. Good night.